4 copies in the list alongside 4 Sacred Foundries, a Temple of Triumph, and 1 Mana Confluence to facilitate Boros Charm, Splash, and other red cards.
Yeah, there's a little bit of could be a little bit of math moving around, but for the most part, this is just a straight win, and it's between Tim King and, as you mentioned, Dustin Grorud. Tim is the only Revelation player left in contention in the tournament, so he's got some, a stake in this too.
Absolutely. And this was a matchup when I was playing white-red aggro where I was always happy to play against. I mean, you have a mixture of a tough clock, some staying power, and Boros Charm, and that's a very tough mixture on blue-white control.
Yeah. Tim is on a 5-card mulligan this game, so this is going to be pretty difficult for him. And this matchup looks like it could be pretty tough for Tim. And I'm going to tell you why. He's playing the sphereless version of blue-white. He's instead playing, Perilous Vault, Fated Retribution, Planar Cleansings. And for the white player, that's got to be good.
Yeah, the best card in their deck, even with Boros Charm in your deck, their best card is still Supreme Verdict. That doesn't change. So getting away from that, or Detention Spheres are also still productive in the matchup too. So getting away from that stuff does harm blue-white control here.
Yeah, this is an Urborg, so 2 lands in Urborg for Tim King. He is still blue-white control. He has just Blood Barons and Nightveil Specters in the sideboard, so this Urborg actually does not activate anything main deck.
And Dustin has a real hand here. I mean, Daring Skyjack, oddly enough, is very good against blue-white control decks. It's one of your better threats against Jace. It's 3 power on its own, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And Dustin with multiple copies of Boros Charm in his hand as well. So this may be a tough game for Tim to win under the best of circumstances. Being on 5 cards makes it even all the more challenging.
Yeah, a lot of times when I played out this matchup, the blue-white deck leans heavily on Jace Architect of Thought to win this matchup. I think, it leans certainly on Supreme Verdicts. That would be its best card. But it's not, Jace can do some work here. Tim has lands, but it looks like, I'm not sure how much else he has.
Well, he couldn't even cast Supreme Verdict right now with his lands in play, even if he had it.
Yeah, it looks like he has he may have a Perilous Vault. And we see he's going to go ahead and dissolve this end step, Raise the Alarm.
Raise the Alarm, a nice addition to this deck. Dustin playing it alongside 2 copies of Spear of Heliod and a Hall of Triumph. So a lot of good effect there for making multiple creatures.
Yeah, so the rest of Tim's hand, he has a Jace's Ingenuity, a Supreme Verdict, a Sphinx's Revelation, and a Perilous Vault. So he has a lot of card draw and 1 sweeper, but the problem is he's still going to take a lot of damage off this Skyjack, and there's a lot of reach in Grorud's hand.
It's even hard for Tim to be just attack you with Skyjack and Mutavault and leave up Boros Charm for the entire game. Even that is tough.
All right, well, Grorud's going to go ahead and go for a main phase Raise the Alarm here. Normally, I think this is a play you wouldn't make, but because there's no white mana on King's side, it's a little bit safer.
And this is when, if you're in Tim's spot, you're in a lot of trouble here, because the only reason Dustin would main phase this spell is if he doesn't care about Supreme Verdict, and the card that would make him not care about Supreme Verdict, obviously, is Boros Charm.
Yeah. Well, there's no white mana. He's still 2 lands off Supreme Verdict. King does make Perilous Vault for the turn. This is it is a sweeper that he has that does not need white mana. You see it on the left there.
Also can function in the face of Boros Charm too, which is nice.
Get rid of Boros Charm. It does not get rid of Mutavaults, however, so you have to watch out there. He can just swing into it with Mutavaults.
This is one of those cards where I think if Tim was doing stuff on the first couple turns of the game, it could be very good, but just too little too late, and I don't think Dustin's hand's messing around either. I mean, I think he has at least 1 more Boros Charm in his hand.
Well, sir, he can swing for 5 here, and actually next turn, he can just swing the team plus Mutavaults right into the Perilous Vault, and it should be a lethal attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this swing is going to put Tim down to 3.
Or he can just Boros Charm here.
He's tapped out? Oh, yeah. Well, so would you want to let, yeah, all right, just take it. Sure. I was going to be like, do you want to let him know? It doesn't, I'm like 100% that you win next turn, too.
I have a second Boros Charm in my deck. It's not a lot of information to get blue-white control in that spot, so I'm happy giving it up.
If you play one, you probably
I've only have the one in my main deck. It's an unorthodox build.
All right, game 1 goes to Dustin Grorud. Like I said, if Tim King wins, there's still a little work left that he has to do. He's sitting at 7-1-1. Grorud is straight in with a win here.
Yeah, and going to the sideboard here, Grorud with a Gideon Champion of Justice, a Boros Charm. He's got 3 in the main deck, brings in the 4th. 2 Phyrexian Revoker, 2 Fiendslayer Paladin, 2 Last Breath, 2 Mizium Mortars, 3 Keening Apparition, 2 copies of Celestial Flare. The 4th Boros Charm is a no-brainer here. I think the 2 copies of Phyrexian Revoker are very good. There's Planeswalkers that you're worried about and so forth. And you saw Perilous Vault as well. There's even Font of Fortunes in this list. So
yeah, I was wondering. So you actually do like Revoker in this situation? It's power to mana cost ratio. You know, it's a 2 power for 2. I almost feel like you could do like that's pretty low for the white deck, right? Most of them are 2 power for 1 or 3 power for 2.
Well, there's worse cards in the matchup. I'm not a big fan of Boros Elite here because it compels you to play into Supreme Verdict, and if you are not adding more creatures to your board, it gets caught up in Jace. The same problem that I have with Raise the Alarm in the matchup. I like to get rid of the creatures that match up the worst against Jace. So 3 power creatures, you never touch those.
Sure.
And creatures that are good against the Planeswalkers in other ways, those are valuable as well. So I like Phyrexian Revoker. Yeah. I also honestly like 2 copies of Mizium Mortars in this matchup. Almost all the blue-white / Esper players will have some mixture of Archangel or Blood Baron or Burmaz against you. I wouldn't want to bring in 4 copies because it's easy to draw too much of that effect, but it is a good insurance policy against them having some of their more expensive creatures, and they commonly do.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, actually, like Revoker's probably good. It seems like it's just a straight upgrade on Imposing Sovereign in the matchup. Or not straight, but well, I guess suppose if you're expecting a man plan, maybe Sovereign has some utility. Why not play both even?
Well, Imposing Sovereign's not bad against Elspeth either. There's a lot of spots where you have Sovereign in play, they cannot tap out for Elspeth. So it's not altogether that bad. I don't like Brave the Elements that much in this matchup. I think that one can pretty easily get out of the deck. Like I mentioned, I don't like Boros Elite very much because of how it matches up against Supreme Verdict. Raise the Alarm I'm not a fan of because it doesn't line up well against Jace. So there's plenty of cards for Dustin to cut here to bring in a couple, couple Mortars, a couple Revokers, and a Boros Charm.
He can't bring out all the cards mentioned there, though. I would rate that's like 11 cards to board out.
So I think the easiest thing to do is probably cut 4 copies of Raise the Alarm and a Boros Elite.
Interesting. So I actually thought Raise them, because he has 2 Spears and a Hall of Triumph, may just be one of those cards that's like powerful enough that you don't want to cut it.
Maybe he's just supposed to cut 3 copies of Brave the Elements and then maybe 2 Raise the Alarms. So maybe that makes the most sense.
All right, we'll see what plan he goes on. Tim's deck, as a control deck, playing a lot. I want to walk you through a little bit of it. It's playing a lot of one-ofs. He does have the Elixir in the deck, so that's his win con. He has 1 of Jace's Ingenuity, 1 Planar Cleansing, 1 Perilous Vault, 1 Fated Retribution, 1 Aether Spouts. Then there's some interesting splits here. 3 Dissolve, 2 Dissipate. All right.
What's the card do you think you're worried about there with Dissipate?
What card do you need to dissipate in this format? What cares about being in the graveyard?
Souls? I'm struggling to think of anything that you would really even care about.
Yeah, the souls, but no one's playing those yet. That seems like a little... if you're playing the Whip of Erebos as a card in the format.
It's a stretch.
That's very,
though.
I mean, I'm naming anything, right?
I could see playing 1 Dissipate if you want 5 cancels, and that's the 5th one, but 3-2 splits a little odd to me.
Yeah, 3 Sphinx's Revelation, and 1 Jace's Ingenuity.
Is Dissipate potentially valuable in mirror matches where you're trying to exile specific cards? Or?
Well, okay, so if you're the Elixir mirror match, like, yes, but hardly.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah.
I mean, it's really about like. I mean, you're right, like, Dissolve is the best card in the mirror match, which is kind of weird, it's already saying something like that, right? Cancel's your best card. I mean, your counterspells are the most important thing, but I don't know. There are some fraction of the games that will matter. There's some, but not all of them.
Sure.
All right, we are underway, game 2. Tim on the play. This time he has the full grip, so when I found with the blue-white deck, play versus draw is pretty important in this matchup for me as to whether or not I feel like I'm fast enough to do anything.
The games that I'm on the play with a good curve and a Boros Charm, I'm like, I cannot possibly lose. There's nothing they can do here. When I'm on the draw, I still feel like it's a game.
Yeah. Boros Elite kept in and is the turn 1 play for Grorud. And, King's deck's not terribly positioned here. He does have all 4 Azorius Charms still in his deck, and he has 2 Last Breaths main. And those are all... I feel like when I've been playing blue configurations with 4 Charms, 2 Last Breath, I've generally felt okay about the white aggro matchup.
Yeah. And he has Fiendslayer Paladin on the board, too, which is very powerful here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Blood Baron, which can also win the game if Dustin's unprepared.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of decent stuff going on. Nightveil Spectre might not even be that bad here. Just as, like, a 2-3 is not terrible.
No, again, there's only so much of, like, bringing in creatures that you can do because you're still leaning on your sweepers, but Nightveil is not shabby.
And this is interesting. All right, turn 2, Raise the Alarm from Grorud. I haven't seen the whole Raise the Alarm plus Boros Elite trick done yet, but I have to say I'm a bit of a fan.
Yeah, and again, this deck already really wants to be playing Spear of Heliod and Hall of Triumph type effects to begin with, so Raise the Alarm is really nice there.
Yeah.
Good with Battalion. It's a good instant speed trick. Does a lot of little stuff well.
we'll see. He'll be put to the test now. A Fiendslayer Paladin was the turn 3 play for King. That's going to be quite a thorn in Dustin's side right now, as he, barring anything in his hand, like he can't attack yet.
Yeah. Tough card to get through. I mean, a 2-power first striker here. You know, you're looking at, can you get a Hall Triumph and a Spear into play? Can you get a Johnny Steadfast? Dustin plays 2 copies. Can you get one of those in play and start spinning it? But it is a problematic card.
I have a nitpicky thing here. How often, when you have Spear of Heliod, do you ever use the activation on it in this deck?
In my experience, it's come up occasionally against Mono Black.
All right, so
it's rare.
He has 3 of them, and he went with 2 Spear, 1 Hall. I'm wondering whether or not you'd want to go 2 Hall, 1 Spear, in case you ever drew all 3. And I know that's like not a real scenario, but
well, no, Hall is also legendary.
oh, okay.
I think there's an argument.
All right, there we go.
I think there's an argument for 2 Hall, 1 Spear anyway, because you're much more likely to play against enchantment removal than artifact removal. But it's real close.
Yeah. So Dustin is not able to attack this turn, but he's just going to go ahead and play all out into the Supreme Verdict. He plays another Boros Elite and a Dryad Militant.
It's not pretty, but Dustin's generating enough power where he may be able to say, all right, attack you next turn, you know?
Yeah, and Tim King has the Supreme Verdict, but missed land 4.
And does he even want a Supreme Verdict away this board? You know?
I think so. I would be worried about this board. Like, all right, so say your opponent has a Brave the Elements or something, like, you're taking 3, 6, 7, 8, you're taking 10.
Yeah, Brave the Elements definitely changes the equation.
Or if he just has, I was going to say has a kill spell, but you can't do that. I'm still a little worried about this board. So Tim just passes back the turn. I think with the intention of end step cycling this Azorius Charm, he had a choice between main phasing it and end stepping it. I wouldn't have been totally opposed to main phasing it.
I think that if Dustin just attacks, I'm happy here to just say, block a Dryad Militant, Azorius Charm, your Boros Elite, take 4, and have you run this back.
And that's what's going to happen. Dustin plays Spear of Heliod, swings the entire team, so he has 2 4/4s, a 3/2, and 2 2/2s. And I absolutely agree. Azorius Charm is going to put a Boros Elite on top. Fiendslayer Paladin will hit Dryad Militant. Tim goes up to 21, then he's going to take 8, go down to 13.
Yeah, to me, Tim doesn't even need to find Supreme Verdict at this point. And keep in mind, Tim also has Jace in hand, so if it finds a 4th land that generates blue, he can just go and do that instead. And Fiendslayer Paladin plus Jace in this spot is really hard for Dustin to slog through.
Yeah, so down to 13. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so he does have the Jace, so if he gets that as a turn 4 play, you're right. Jace is nearly as good. That's better here.
And you know Dustin's not doing anything that impressive next turn. He's drawing a Boros Elite. Probably doesn't have a lot left over.
Yeah. He does have, if Tim misses his play here, he also has a Font of Fortunes in hand.
Yeah.
So Tim opting for Font of Fortunes over Divination. This is something in Grand Prix Chicago, Steve Wise did, even the deck he top 8'd with. And something I've been a pretty big fan of as well.
Yeah, you don't have a lot to do on turn 2, but you have a lot to do on turn 3.
Yeah, and you have a lot of things you need to dissolve on turn 3 too. Like sometimes you divination and then your opponent untaps and like plays a Domri. You're like, wow.
Or Xenagos or something.
Right, and you're just like, wow, that stunk. Like, I wish I could have countered that and still drew some cards. Though to be fair, sometimes they do get it. If you drop it on turn 2, I have to get Abrupt Decayed, and that's. When they Abrupt Decay or Divination, it's really sad.
And in this kind of spot, I bet Tim wishes it was Divination. Be a lot better, because it has nothing to do with the leftover mana.
Yeah. Font is the play for King.
Also, this font might just get tagged by the Kidding Apparition in Dustin's hand.
Oh, man.
Wah, wah.
Right. There is a cost. Grorud draws the 2nd Spear of Heliod. He's going to go ahead and continue to swing into this Fiendslayer Paladin. He's not even making that much progress, right? Tim gains 2, goes up to 15, takes 6, goes down to 9.
Well, it's 2 points of damage, but more importantly, it's the bigger issue to me is you might just lose it all to a Supreme Verdict anyway. So even if the attack's not great, in terms of how the board looks, Dustin kind of has to get while the getting's good, because he just might lose everything anyway.
Yeah, and Dustin's going to make King Apparition, make Boros Elite, and no, he's not going to go for the Font of Fortunes. I think he's just going to go right for the life total. And how poetic here, another Supreme Verdict drawn for King.
Yeah, I guess at this spot, he just wants the extra creature in play, and if Tim spends his turn using Font, that Dustin feels like he's got a good shot of winning.
Yeah, Tim does have an Azorius Charm, and I think correctly here does not crack Font. It's interesting. So if he cracked Font and hit a land, he could have his cake and eat it too.
But it would have to be untapped blue mana. I mean, it's not a lot.
Yeah, well, the thing is you wouldn't know which color to leave up for Azorius Charm, right? You could, oh no, just have to be untapped blue. You're right, because he only has single blue. All right, full swing there. Azorius Charm is going to take care of Boros Elite. The other creatures swing in, though. We have a 4, a 3, and a 2. That's a swing for 9. Tim's going to have to make a play here. He's going to block the 2 power. So Tim's going to gain 2, go up to, if he blocks it, he gains 2, goes up to 11, then takes 7, goes down to 4. Tim thinking about this decision.
I don't think you can win the game by chump blocking with your Fiendslayer Paladin.
Well, here's the problem. All right, if you chump with Fiendslayer, then you're hoping to draw the land for Supreme Verdict. But that line also loses to Boros Charm. Yeah. Because then you're casting Supreme Verdict into Boros Charm. So I think you just have to pretend Boros Charm's not there. I don't think you can win through it. Right, because if you draw your 4th land, like playing Jace won't win. Playing Verdict won't win because you did have a Boros Charm. Yeah, I think this is just the play. So Tim up to 11, down to 4. Confirm here.
You got 7 coming across, unblocked, and then +2 from the Fiendslayer, so that puts him to 4. So now, Tim's just gotta hope.
All right, is there a Boros Charm? Nope, there most certainly is not.
I really like the way that Dustin has played this game. He's thrown caution to the wind in several spots, but he's giving himself the best shot of winning, I feel like.
Well, and right now, this is a full admission that he doesn't, I mean, he can't bluff Boros Charm anymore. And does he hit the land? Yes, he does. It is Hallowed Fountain. He's going to go to a real low 2 to play it, but he will get it. And you know that this attack is going to, well, that sure signifies that he has the land.
Yeah.
Swinging with Fiendslayer. Shocks. It goes up to 6, back down to 4. Cast Supreme Verdict.
It's important. Yep. And
yep, hits the font.
It's good for Dustin here. That font was not great.
No, it's not good when you're short on lands. It is worse at getting you out of mana screws and better in sequencing, in like games where you need to like play lots of spells, like sequence your spells better.
Yep. So now Tim's got a shot here, but it's, you know, there's a lot of draw steps he's got to sweat along the way.
Yeah, Boros Elite is a 2/2 right now. And Tim, I think, is debating as to whether or not he wants to Jace plus here or just Supreme Verdict the 2/2.
I think that I like Jace plus. Because going from 4 to 3 doesn't make that big of a difference.
Kind of the same number.
And what's the plan long term?
There's no Lightning Strike, right?
Yeah, I mean, this deck could potentially play Lightning Strike, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, they usually don't. I think it's Jace plus, so then next turn you can really hit that land, and then you can Verdict again.
The problem is, what's your plan if Dustin top decks? If you cast Supreme Verdict and Dustin draws any creature, what's the plan? Then you're back in the same spot.
Right, you're not making progress. Actually, interesting, if you're Tim, do you plus or minus?
That is interesting. I think
I'm starting to think, I almost just minus. Now he's going to plus.
It's close.
Right. I like being in King's spot here, by the way. I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, it's he's just got to split a couple draws here. I mean, Dustin does find Boros Charm here. He wins the game, but
yeah, he drew Sacred Foundry for the turn. So now Dustin has to decide if he attacks Tim or Jace, and neither seem very appealing. I'm going to go upstairs with it. Tim's down to 3. And Sacred Foundry tapped. And more non-lands drawn by Tim, so I think you're going to have to see a minus here.
Well, Dissolve's not a bad draw. I mean,
good trio of cards. Last Breath, Elixir, and Temple of Enlightenment. One of those few times where you're real happy to draw Elixir.
Oh, I've gotten beat by Elixir plenty of times.
Oh, I bet so. Just with the decks you play, I would.
It's one of the worst cards to roll off of Jace for me because it's cheap and about as powerful as Elspeth. It's like it's the same thing.
It's the 1-mana Elspeth. Oh man. And he's gonna go ahead and take the Elixir, and I think mainly the Temple. Sees another Supreme Verdict there. He's gonna bottom it. It seems fine. The big thing he's gotta be worried about is Raise the Alarm is almost impossible for him to beat right now. The Elixir will help.
Yeah.
But still very strong against him.
you think you're supposed to sack that elixir straight away? I mean, now it looks like Dustin's just top deck Boros Charm. If Tim goes for it in a turn.
Yeah, well, no, I think what you do is you go to 1, and you don't crack it on end step, and you just keep this dissolve up, and you crack it main phase next turn.
That feels. I mean,
What
he's
if
going to have a lot of mana tied up in this sort of sequence if he plays it like this.
Oh, and you can't do that. He's gonna if he gets yeah.
Womp womp.
And you're Azla right, and then he gets Boros Charmed here. Dustin Grorud gets it 2 games to 0.
Yeah, no, that's a tough set of lines. If you sacrifice there, you expose yourself. Now your dissolve shield's down. Maybe something else resolves that's problematic for you. But
Well, okay, what would that something else look like? I guess that's the question, right? What is the something else they could resolve that you can't deal with? There really isn't much, is there?
not a lot.
Because you have a verdict in your hand.
I guess it's a burning earth in the sideboard is your worst case scenario there.
Yeah, you'd probably lose to that. If you
Yeah,
decided
that's-
you'd lose to that.
But there's 4 Boros Charms or at least 3, and there's probably 0 or 1 burning earths. But
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think, if you're a little more secure in life control, I don't think it's wrong to play it that way, but instead of cracking it end step, you just have to untap and main phase crack the elixir.
yeah.
And then, like, you're going to hold up dissolve. Well, I mean, you don't even have to hold up dissolve the whole game because you can take the 4 now because you gain 5.
I think with Supreme Verdict in hand there, you're supposed to just crack straight away. Burning Earth's the thing that I'm coming up with. That's the worst case scenario for you there.
Yeah.
But that sequence plays right into the jaws of Boros Charm, and Dustin found it, and now on his way to the elimination rounds.
Well, congratulations to Dustin Grorud, a 9-1 finish on the day with white-red aggro. He'll be into our top 8 rounds tomorrow morning. Tim King, 7-2-1, will fall short, most likely to a top 32 finish. And with that, that is the last revelation.